Hey, Helen here, your host. Great to have you along for the second season of The Beautiful Side of Grief, where we continue to hear from people from all walks of life who have faced or have been involved with heart-wrenching loss and who have come out the other side with so many positives to share with others. I know this may seem like an impossibility for you right here, right now, to be in that space. And believe me, I understand. I lost my own gorgeous 18-year-old daughter and only child in a car accident. Yet, here I am 4 years later, sharing my own journey and those of others in the most heartwarming and joyful way. Each and every one of my guests share their own beautiful insights and their strategies for getting through their grief. And through these stories, I hope you'll find your own way to deal with your grief in whatever form that may take. I'll pop my guest links and any free resources in the episode notes, along with my website address if you'd like to know more about the energy work I do, as that was my lifesaver in my own grief journey. Don't forget to subscribe and like so you can keep informed of each weekly episode. So now let's see who our guest is this week. We're chatting with Jennifer Alemany on today's episode. Jennifer is of Latin American heritage and was born in Brooklyn, New York. She was the first to graduate from college in her family with an associate degree in early childhood education. And from there, she went on to get a bachelor's degree in psychology from Brooklyn College. Optimal wellness is important to Jennifer. She's been practicing yoga for 12 years as a spiritualist and has been meditating for over 10 years. She currently lives in New York City with her dog, Leo Luna. Leo Luna? Yeah. What we're talking about today is the loss of two pivotal people in her life, which led her to lose a sense of who she was. Firstly, her mum passed without much warning, and then the love of her life 2 years ago. Transforming her life through these losses resulted in her writing and publishing her first book, Mark My Love. In this memoir, she speaks openly about her grieving process and being okay with not being okay sometimes. She explores love, loss, and looking at life differently. So that's what we're going to be also looking at in today's conversation. So thanks for joining us today to hear Jennifer's story, and I hope what she shares about rediscovering herself after loss will help you in your own journey, which I wish to be filled with love, happiness, and hope always. So Jennifer, wonderful to have you speaking with me today and have you as a guest. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We're just really going to just take a look at firstly, what these two key people meant to you in your life. Firstly, your mum and then your boyfriend.
Yes. It was, I want to say I didn't realize the impact of my mother and not grieving for her 13 years ago until my boyfriend had passed 2 years ago. I didn't realize that I didn't fully grieve,
So what do you mean by that? Let's just clarify that a little bit. Because most people think they are grieving.
Yeah, I think I was only grieving halfway through. I didn't fully, I didn't come back to life, I want to say fully, the past 13 years without her. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that certain things I wasn't doing. I didn't realize that, say, certain recipes that she liked that I cooked, I wasn't making anymore. I didn't realize that I was stopping certain things. So that's what I mean by that. So when my boyfriend passed 2 years ago, it was more of a reality check of,
right.
Oh wow, all of this is coming out. I was grieving so intensely.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your boyfriend, just so that we get a sense of who he is.
Yeah. We didn't date that long. I want to say we had a 10-month relationship, but when we found each other, it was later in life. We both had previous divorces and, long-term relationships that ended. So we found each other at a time where we didn't think that we were going to find love again. So we fell in love very quickly. And then 10 months later, unfortunately, he got sick and he passed. So it was also another shock. And also the shock of all of that together, right? I fell in love. So you're talking experiencing that, feeling love and finding it and having that euphoric feeling. And then all of a sudden someone's sick. And then, a few months later, oh, they're gone. And it's like, so it's all of that together.
So losing your mum would have been tough enough on its own, but then to lose the love of your life like that, after just finding that joy and happiness back in your life again, that must have been really heartbreaking for you. And describe for us what losing yourself looked like. after you lost her?
Yeah, I just really didn't recognize who I was. I felt like I didn't like things that I used to like anymore. It was just, life just seemed very different for me. It just seemed very cold. And
So the light went out of it.
Yeah, everything kind of went dark. It really didn't matter what was going on. Everything was kind of gone again, But with him, I want to say that the light started to creep in very quickly. It was almost as if he was with me and I knew he was, telling me you have to let the light in a little bit and a little faster this time, because now he was on the other side, right, with my mother. And I think it was maybe my mother as well saying, hey, I've been trying to wake her up a little bit and, maybe we can join forces, I want to say. So I started to get up and turn that, all of my pain. I want to say I took it and I turned it into fuel to move me forward. I decided whatever I was feeling, I said, I'm not going to get into the anger of things and question the why. I said, I'm just going to live now and live differently and love differently. And I just started doing that.
Yeah. So how long did that turning point take to come in the second lot of grief for you in this journey?
Oh, I mean, I started writing the book about 2 months after he passed. And that's when everything started turning. And it was intense. I cried every single day when I was writing, but I was getting things out very quickly and I was discovering a lot through that. So I want to say 2 months, basically. 2 months later.
And so do you feel like that process of writing was your go-to for enabling you to just actually process everything that happened?
I think so, because so many things were coming out in the writing and I was writing very quickly. And I knew the writing was more than myself because it was so fast. But I knew that I was also meant to do something with it. I knew I was meant to maybe help others, who could be struggling from grief or all sorts of things. I go into little things of my own issues, I want to say, because that was coming out too when I was writing. So I just all together, I said, if this could help one person, that's all I needed to feel like I was going to do something.
So I often hear that when people say, they start to look at their grief and then that actually forces them to look at other areas of their life, whether that be their marriage or their relationship with their partner or their relationship with their children, whatever, or their relationship with themselves, actually, their own self-love. It actually refocuses everything and makes you look at those really dark areas that perhaps you've just ignored very conveniently in your life. And
yeah, I agree. I think I looked at self-love and then I looked at also my career. I knew that I was an HR professional for 22 years and successful, but I wasn't fulfilled. I knew I wasn't. I knew I had been telling myself that I wasn't. I knew that I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but I knew it wasn't that. So that was another big part. And then there came along the writing. And then I realized, I think I'm meant to write. I realized I had been writing my whole life, but I never really looked at it like, let me publish something, or maybe this could help others or anything of it. I didn't look at it like that. And here this was now, a new gift in my life, a new purpose.
It's funny you say that because, right throughout my life, many, many years ago, I was actually involved in radio. And then I've had various other times where I've been standing up, speaking in front of people. And then I was training people, which involves obviously talking and so on. And I think when I look back now, that kept reminding me, actually, Helen, you need to be out there. You need to be using your voice. That is how you communicate well with people. And so when I lost my daughter, that's what I needed to step into, because I tell you, every time I connect with somebody and do this, it just is my Zen place. I just absolutely love it. So I so get what you're saying about writing and that you've always been doing it, but you didn't actually realize that you needed to do it in a different way. Let's talk for a moment because, some people, when they go to write, they feel like it needs to be perfect. They feel like it needs to be written in a way that other people can pick it up and read it. But that's not the case at all, is it? It's sometimes just going blah and getting that out however it needs to come out. And even the not pretty parts of it, just be really raw and honest. Is that what you found?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So many people use that word raw when they told me they read the story. They were like, wow, you were so raw. And I knew I had to be, and I didn't look at it I didn't analyze the writing like you just said. And I want to say I did go take 2 classes just to look at the world of writing because I didn't know anything about it. Right. So I took a course in memoir writing and then another course just to see while I was doing it. And I remember, just showing little pieces to the class because we had to. And I remember getting critiques like, oh, you won't be able to capture an art and what did they say? Something like you couldn't keep them over the time span because it was 13 years ago, the death of my mother, and then not now, right? It was too much, a long time. They said that I would lose the reader. And I knew that wasn't the case. I knew what's supposed to be in here and it's exactly right. And I left that alone.
I'm so glad that you had the foresight to do that, because when you get that sort of critique, that can actually derail you from what you need to be doing. And it's actually doing it your way, how you need to do it, how it needs to come out from you. And like you mentioned earlier, I believe there was a bit of guidance happening there for you. So it's just trusting that process as well. Yeah. But I believe for anybody, whether they're going to publish or not publish, actually putting down what you feel is such an important step to just getting it out of your body, out of your system, out of you. Yeah.
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 And that's why when other personal things came into the play that were about, self-love and all that, I let it go. I didn't think about why is this in there? It has nothing exactly to do with the grief, but I felt at the end, I'm like, no, it had to do with the grief too, because I think that my whole life I was kind of altering myself for other people. So it was almost like I was grieving myself all my life because, so it all made sense.
Yeah. Ditto. What I realized, after I lost my girl, I tried to go back to the job I was in, which was health IT, which is completely different. and I tried really hard, but my heart wasn't in it. And I just knew I had to walk away. And it didn't matter how good I was at it. It was time, so yeah. Good point that you raised there.
Yeah.
So what does how do you look at life after the losses you've had? What's that look like for you?
Just, I think surrounding everything with love. I'll be honest. It may sound corny, but really diving into love. Like I make sure I'm telling the people that I care about that I love them, but I'm also basically loving myself. When I wake up in the morning, I make sure I thank God for being here. It's just, life is more precious to me. I really realize it now after the second loss. I realized that we could be gone in a minute. And I think, I always knew that even when my mom passed, but it was just the second awakening of it where I said, oh, wow, like really, I needed to start living,
It's a gratitude for what we have. And it's actually the gratitude for enabling us to walk into our own path as well. And, what we're destined to do, our own purpose. So let's talk about that, because you believe that everybody has a purpose, don't you?
Yes, I do believe that. I think that I was asking myself that for a while. I think definitely the past 5 years, and the answer wasn't coming to me. And obviously the answer I think came to me with this loss, but I realized it. I realized the writing was easy for me and doing this was easy. And, I'm writing more now and I have been, and I'm joyful. I feel joyful in every single day. So I know that that was my purpose. And I realize it again when I look back. I'm like, oh, those high school teachers that were telling my mom her papers are really good. I have realized, oh, I think something was there. I didn't dive deeper into it. So it's almost like, diving deeper into life too. I think, right? I think instead of just touching the surface, like really enjoying being here. I think we're here for a reason. Like we talked about, right? There's a purpose, but I think we're really supposed to love, fully love and love equally. I think mankind too. I think we're supposed to learn that while we're here. I think that's part of it.
I so agree with that sentiment. Absolutely. 100%. There are no boundaries. There are no differences. Love just transcends everything. And I think for people who may be listening, who are wanting to find their purpose, what I think you really touched on there, which is so important, is it's doing something that fills you with joy and happiness. When you find that sweet spot, that is your key to doing whatever it is you need to do. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just finding that thing that fills you with joy and happiness, I think.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Oh, I totally agree 100%. And I think that's, I want that for others. I want them to experience that because I realize, wow, I meet people and they see that I'm happy and joyful, and they're like, look at the smile on your face, and they
Yes.
say to me like, what do you want? I want some of that or whatever. And it's just, I wouldn't say I'm on love, but I am, right? I realize all of this, so I don't take anything for granted, and that's the space that I live in. So that's why I have that smile on my face every day, right? I'm grateful for every little thing.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but people who know my story and know that, that when I lost my daughter and that there was just her and I for 17 over 18 years of life. And they go, how can you be happy now? For me, it's 4 years. And it's almost like they cannot reconcile the fact that I can have this place of joy and happiness in my life, more so than I ever had prior, actually. And I think that's about, I think that is what loss can guide you to if you're open to it. It can show you that your life can be so much more than what you ever imagined for yourself.
Yeah. My mom, I was very close to her. We were best friends. I was her youngest daughter, but we were the closest, and she was my mom and my dad and my best friend. So when she left my life, I was 33 years when she passed, and it was very difficult because I said, here, this woman who we spoke a couple of times a day, like all the time, but that person wasn't there. So that was very difficult. And I think also people looked at me too, like you just said, when I was starting to see happiness a little bit, wondering, oh, wow, but you still, don't you miss your mother still? Of course I do. I just think now, I think she's pushing me on the other side saying, I want you to be happier. I want you to be more joyful. I think she realized that I wasn't doing that, ever since she passed.
And I think it's actually a choice, isn't it? Like we can choose how we want to sit with our grief. And it's not, if you're joyful and happy, it's not that you miss them any less. It's not that you wish they were here again for, another hug, another conversation or anything like that. It's just that you know that they wouldn't want you to be down here really miserable and not living your life. That's what I felt strongly with my daughter. It was like, come on, mum, I'm going to give you a kick up the butt because you've got to go on. You can't change what's happened. This is your reality. Now move forward with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's a difficult thing. You have that bond. It's you had that bond with your daughter. I had that bond with my mother, and it's hard. But I know, like I say, now it's our relationship is different where now I am making those recipes again of food that she liked. But now when I cook them, I say, oh, hey, this came out really good tonight, Mom. And I feel her there. I feel that presence. It's hard to describe, but I know. And that's why, and that's that choice that I made, right?
I think when you go through this process, I think you reach a place where you start feeling from your heart rather than thinking from your head about it all, because sometimes your head can mess you up. Sometimes you just need to just feel from your heart. And if that feels good, then, that's the most beautiful, wonderful feeling. Now, I know that also that your life has been wrapped up in spirituality and that you're a very spiritual person. Share with us what spirituality means to you and how you knew that you had that aspect too.
I think for me, it's being connected with, I want to say, God's source, and having that feeling and knowing, like you have that gut feeling, knowing that you're doing the right thing, you're living in your heart, like you said. I think that's how it's always been there for me. I want to say I have a niece who's 35 years old. When my sister was pregnant with her, before they told me that she was going to have a baby, for whatever reason, I remember thinking, I think she's having a baby. And then I remember my mom telling me, so there was always things like that. And then I want to say the first time I experienced loss was when my grandmother passed when I was in college. I started dreaming about her very quickly, and I wasn't paying attention to the dreams. Now, fast forward after in my 30s, I started writing down my dreams. And some of those dreams are now coming back, the same exact ones. And I realized it was her at that point in my life trying to connect with me, but I maybe wasn't as elevated, obviously, spiritually yet, to realize that she was coming to me in my dreams and trying to possibly give me messages. So it's always been there. It's just been more, I've had more growth as the decades have gone on in that space. And now it's basically, I've had literally last year, there was messages my mother was bringing me in my dreams. I was writing them down and things were happening exactly not exactly, but the same, basically what she was trying to tell me in the dreams. And I was like, okay, so I know that they're around us. And I think that's what spirituality is for me. I know that when we leave this earth, we're not done completely. The spirit's still there. We're just in another form.
No, I 100% believe that. Now, you talked about getting the messages through dreams. Do you also get them through other avenues? Like, do you get any other signs of your loved ones being around?
I sometimes, definitely with numbers at times, things go on with numbers where things will jump out at me when I'm out. And then I've gone to also to see actual intuitives before also. And they've given me direct messages, that no one would know these things and they're telling me. So that's added to it as well. When it came to, I want to say, the book, I had seen an intuitive and she had told me that my mother was telling her to tell me it was time to show myself to the world. And I kept thinking, like, I don't know what she's talking about. It confused me. And then the book came along eventually, you know what I mean? So now I realize, yeah.
And, I remember speaking to this, beautiful clairvoyant medium that I had on an earlier episode. And she was saying that sometimes people expect, signs to come in big neon lights, like, here I am, this is what I want for you. But often they're very, very subtle, just like coming through in your dreams or that thought that just, flits through your head, or that feeling of having that closeness with the loved one that's passed on. It's often very subtle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the exact word for it, is subtle. I agree with you. That's why I smiled, because I said, everyone's expecting the neon lights and like a parade to come through. No, I don't think it's like that. It's these little things here and there. So absolutely.
Now, I know that you also have a passion for music and dance, and that must be the Latino side of you, I think. Because the Kiwi side of me is not very good at that stuff. But what role did that play, if any, in helping you move through your grief?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think definitely putting on certain songs to dance to that I remember my mom listening to when I was younger, that helped me. Even songs that were slow songs that made me cry just to kind of get it out, that helped me as well, So all of it is always, it's my go-to. If I'm feeling, we obviously, I can have my down days at times. I'm a human being. If I get into a little bit now, I'll put on a song and I'll tell my mother and my boyfriend to come dance with me. Like, have a day, let's dance it out here. And it makes me feel so much better. So it played a big part.
And I also have heard that even dancing, that just physical act of moving, that just shifts all that energy within you and actually helps you elevate to a higher frequency so that you can actually feel that happiness more than that sorrow. It just manages to sort of lift it, release it. And I think that's so, so important, because grief can be a place where you just literally, not just figuratively, literally get stuck, where you just don't allow yourself to move.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel like that can be a very difficult place to then get yourself out of. So, recommendation, put on your favorite songs, get up, shake that booty. Yeah. Especially, and then it doesn't even matter if you're not very good at it like I am, It's just the fact of getting up and doing it. So that's fantastic. What advice do you have for people who are struggling with grief?
Just, to take it one day at a time, and then, but also like let the light in. Don't stop that light from getting in, and just.
So what do you mean by that? Let the light in? Because somebody hearing that might go, I don't know what you mean by that.
Just, that light means to keep on going. It's almost like letting that in to get out of bed again. That's the light there. And that's all you have to do. So many people put pressure on others when someone passes, like telling them, you got to get up, you got to do this, you got to do that. I just say, just getting up. That's the step that you need to take. So that's like the light. That's what I mean by that. To keep going, don't stay in bed.
So that's what I describe as hope. Having that hope. You've got to have that hope that, there can be an end to this, that there can be a little bit of happiness to begin with, something nice happening in your life. And that may be just the fact that you've managed to get yourself up and dressed for a day. That's what I believe that light is all about. And you just take it as you need to. Yeah. That's beautiful. Why is love so important to you?
I think that's why we're here. It's the number one reason I believe that we're all here. So that's going to keep us going, so keeping that love alive no matter what.
So we've just had the, anniversary of 20 years of the Twin Towers and that tragic event of 9/11. And I know that even 20 years on, people are still devastated by that. And this is where I think and you've been in New York, that would even be even more powerful for you. I remember watching it from the other side of the world of being hugely affected. So I cannot even begin to imagine what it must have felt like for you in New York. But this whole idea of love, I think that's the key to it, isn't it? I think people stepped forward and did incredibly brave and courageous things during that time. That was such beautiful signs of love. And I think that's what we need to, would you agree? I think that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, we need to focus on that. We need to remember that because like we just said, we came together so strongly during that time. I live here in New York City now and I felt it. I could feel it here on Saturday. I felt it still, all of that pain that's there. And all I kept saying out loud was, I wasn't trying to relieve people of their pain. I just kept saying, give love to everybody that I'm feeling here. I was feeling it so intensely. And I said, just give everybody love and surround us in that place. I said, because that's what's going to get us to the next where we need to be, but that's why it's so important. Ultimately think about it. It's like when when those people were calling their loved ones at the last minute and saying, I love you, think about it, right? We come into this world and you see a baby and it's given love pretty quickly, right? And then we're leaving and we're making sure that we're telling our loved ones we love them. So what's the bottom line then, right? It's love.
Yeah, absolutely. I think love transcends fear. A lot of people are living in fear of so much in today's world. We've got so much going on. I'm not even going to go there because it's bigger than being here. It's just so huge. But for me, I just, like you, I feel that love is the key. Just love the people you're with, let them know, remind them, and wherever you're going through your day, just put that energy out there because that's the energy you'll get back into. And just even a simple smile from your heart at somebody can change their entire day. Yeah. And I'm a great believer in that.
Absolutely.
So what did you learn from allowing yourself to be vulnerable and writing your memoir? What did you learn from that process?
I learned to be free. I want to say, I realized that you could be ultimately free from any kind of stress. It doesn't mean I don't have things going on in life, but I felt the ultimate freedom. That's the thing that I learned from all of this. I freed myself from so much baggage or thought of this or that or whatever it may be.
Okay. Share with us, for somebody who thinks that they may like to read this memoir, take us through what that's going to provide for them.
I think, it shows my life in a sense of where I came from as, I go into snippets as a young girl growing up from a single parent, economic struggles, and how I built up from there and went on to get a degree, and it just shows everyday life struggle. I'm just being honest of being, I go into being down on the ground and showing people you can get through a lot, and I think, I tell people you can get through anything. And then I go through different loves in my life that I've lost. And it didn't mean those that just passed to the other side. I also go into other loves that I've had that have moved on, from my life. But it shows people the transformation, I think, that can go through in one's life, and that you could keep elevating yourself no matter what. Yeah. And then you can free yourself if you want to be honest, of a lot of nonsense, I talked, like I said, a little bit in the book of self-confidence issues and body image issues, all the stuff that I didn't realize was holding me down in every single part of my life. So it just goes through an evolution, basically, so it's first I want to say I'm 47 years old. So it kind of gives a snippet of that first part and little things I went through, but it just shows that rawness of, even when you're down on the ground in any situation, you can keep going if you want to.
So you touched on body image, and I know that's a big thing, but I think it's all wrapped up in that self-love we have or don't have for ourselves. Share with us what that was like for you. Like, is that what you needed to find for yourself, that self-love?
Yeah, I did. I did at the end of it. I think that I thought that I had self-love before. I think that I took care of myself, and I think I told myself, like, I'd go give myself a massage every so often, or I get, that I treat myself to things, but I realized ultimately, I had to look in the mirror in every which way and say, I love you and you're beautiful, like no matter what. So meaning no matter what anyone else said. And I think that, the breakdown of that happening started as a young girl. I think people were criticizing me. And I talk about that a little bit, how it started. But then I started, I guess, believing them that I wasn't beautiful. My body wasn't good enough. I had too much weight on or whatever it may be. And then it just trickled down. And I realized, wow, look, it took me 46 years to uncover and say, oh, wait a minute. None of that matters. I have to love myself. It doesn't matter what anyone else thought or said to me way back when. So that was a big part of my self-discovery.
Can you share with us any tips or tools that you use to actually be able to look at yourself in the mirror? Especially, I think the hardest thing is to look at ourselves completely naked in the mirror and then love ourselves. So can you share with us any tips?
I think first thing I did, I forgave myself for any kind of bad treatment, like the dieting back and forth my life, right? So I had to talk with myself and really forgive myself for treating myself the way I did like that, right? With the back and forth dieting or saying I didn't look good enough or whatever. And I want to say, honestly, now the image that I see in the mirror, like it doesn't matter what it looks like. And that sounds horrible, but it doesn't matter. So it's, I don't have exact tips, but it's, that's how you have to start to get there. I think that you'll find out how to get there once you start having those conversations with yourself, like I did. Like I said, forgiving the bad behavior of other people saying things. So then I was treating myself a certain way. And I think after that starts unfolding in your own way, I think then you'll know how to do it and look in the mirror. It's hard to describe, it happened very quickly for me once I did that.
Something that I help people with when I do energy healing work with them is, getting them, first of all, just to look into their eyes and then tell yourself that you love you. And, do that until you can actually feel that change happening in you, where you actually believe those words, not just saying them, but you actually believe them. And that's a nice, easy, simple way to start, just looking at yourself and telling yourself that you love you, but also believing it. And that has the ability to change every cell within your body. The structure of every cell within your body. So since you joined me, our listeners won't be able to see this, but you just have the most beautiful smile and your eyes are just so warm, and I can feel that love emanating from you, and I can, just see that all that beautiful work that you've done on yourself. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. We live in a world too where we're so governed by social media, and social media with the expectations of to be this, to be that, to look like this, to look like that, to sound like this. Even, when I was looking at setting up my own social media, and it's like everything glitters and they're wanting you to be hooked into it, and you must do it this way and you must do it that way. I've reached saturation point, to be honest with you, because there was so much bombarding me and having to look good in your reels, having to be funny in your reels, having to be this. Oh, you know what? I think just do you.
Yeah.
More than anything, don't try to be what other people think you should be. Just be you. And however that looks, because when you speak your own truth and speak from your heart, that's what resonates with people. That's what they hear. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I agree. And it's funny because I used to walk around, literally, I would look at other women on the street and compare myself. That doesn't happen anymore. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's such a great feeling. And
that's the freedom.
Yes. And that's the freedom. And like I said, if other folks if other young girls hear this message, like that, this too helping them, you know what I mean? Living a whole life of being like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not looking good enough. It's horrible, you know? And so if that helps others too, it's like, I'm so thankful for that, you know?
Yeah, I get that. What is one thing that you would tell people who are starting over?
Just to believe in themselves, believe in yourself. And if you know that you're doing what you need to do, then just keep going forward no matter what, you know, and don't let any little hiccup get you down. Like just keep plowing forward and don't let others take you off of that journey. If you know what you need to do, just steam forward ahead and, you know, keep your ears closed. If you don't want to listen to people saying things, you know what you need to do.
Honoring the person you love in the way that works for you most authentically. Yeah. Oh, that's so, so good. Now, I want to ask you, what is the best thing that's happened in your day today or in the past week? What's the best that's happened?
The best thing? I mean, I have my little dog with me. I want to say every day is like, it's amazing. You know, my little dog came into my life 2 years ago. We moved back to the city here a few months ago, and it's just been a little bit of an adventure being back in the city again after being away for 4 years. So every day has just been like a new ride in life, I want to say, in the city, a new version of it from before.
That's really important because animals are hugely beneficial in helping us heal. You know, that I feel they are healers, all of them. So, share with us what that's been like for you to have this new, beautiful little soul in your life.
Yeah, he's been amazingly a joy in my life. He's helped me heal so much. When I first got him, he's my first dog. I used to have cats previously, so it was a new experience for me, but he's so special. I can tell that, he knows when I need him or I need a little more extra love. I can tell he senses it. So it's just been an amazing, amazing thing. He's been great. Animals are very connected also spiritually, I feel like.
Yes.
And I can see that he's on that journey with me. When I'm meditating, he sits with me and he's right there along. And I know he's doing his own thing. I can feel it, so it's just been another added, great perk to my life.
Yeah, they provide so much love without the judgment, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're having a moment in your day where things are not going right and you feel like, oops, I'm on the back foot here, what would you do to pivot and turn that around for you?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'll be honest, I'll take a moment of silence. I'll be quiet and just sit down and do a pause for about 5 minutes, to be honest. And it kind of just puts me back to perspective. Like it seems that things seem to be going in a direction I don't want them to. I kind of just pause and then I just breathe and it kind of puts me in a different direction.
Beautiful. Because I also read when I was running through your bio that you just are also hugely into yoga and meditation. How does that help you in your own overall wellness?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yoga has kept me in contact with my body in a sense of, if I had aches and pains before, like they're usually gone at this point because I stretch and move my body. It's just part of, it lets me know how I'm doing wellness wise. It may sound strange, but I just know when I'm moving my body every day with yoga, if something's off, it's like I know what I need to take care of. So that's why that's helped me.
Yeah, beautiful. And
meditation has been it's been an amazing journey. I can't begin to, I want to say I meditate even like longer now than I used to. And I used to think that was crazy, but an hour of meditation, gosh, I feel like I went to a spa for about 10 weeks after I do that. It's an amazing thing.
Yes. And, and what we want to let people know is that just start off whichever way it works for you. You don't have to have this suddenly be good at doing meditation where your mind is emptied and you're sitting there in a Zen-like thing. Like do guided meditations to begin with if you're new to them, and find the ones that work for you, that you like listening to, because it's all about once you start to enjoy it, then you'll just, find your own way through that meditation. But gosh, I highly recommend that for anyone. That just so profoundly has changed my life.
Absolutely. I agree. Start with 5 minutes. I tell folks that 'cause some folks are like, I don't have 20 minutes a day. What do I start with 5 minutes, and then it'll be funny because at least for me, when I started in that short period of time, I quickly found 20 minutes. I noticed I was finding 20 minutes. And, when I would take the subway from Brooklyn to the city, previously, I started meditating on the subway. I mean, and that's like in the middle of chaos, right? So
Yep.
it can change people's lives. I highly recommend it.
It's a natural reaction to do more of what feels good for you. So that's where you just suddenly find that time, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how great to be able to meditate in the midst of chaos.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because that's so key. I feel that when you reach this place where you've truly sort of looked at yourself long and hard in the mirror, you've faced those demons, you've faced those fears, you've faced those hurts, you reach a place where you just simply have this peace, this feeling of calm and peace, regardless of what is going on around you. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And people will sit next to me and say to me like, oh, we could feel this calm energy like off of you. But it's a great thing to get to that point, because like you just said, right? You're sitting in the middle of chaos, but yet it's like nothing. I'm totally calm,
Yeah. Such a beautiful feeling. I always sort of like pinch myself that I'm at that space now and I'll go, wow, this so was not me.
Right.
So, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting with you today, Jennifer. And what takeaways would you like to leave our listeners with?
Just everybody live your life in love, and that's starting with self-love. That's important. And then also, just being kind to one another. That's a big one, right? That can go so long. But yeah, those are two major takeaways I want to say. And also actually, if you're grieving, try to turn your pain into fuel and to fire something up, something new, maybe, you never know what it could lead to.
Oh, that's such great advice. And for anybody wanting to get hold of your book, well, I'll definitely have those links in the episode notes of the show notes when you get to listen to this episode. But also quickly share with us now where people can find out more about you.
My website is jennifermalemany.com. You can find my book on Amazon or BookBaby and Barnes & Noble as well. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, Jennifer M. Alemany.
Great. And the title of your book, once again?
Mark My Love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got a double meaning to it. I like that.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Jennifer, absolutely wonderful to share this time with you today and the beautiful insights that you have from your journey. You just definitely a shining example of how you can go through, absolute grief and then come out the other side with hope, joy, and happiness. So I thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode today, be sure to share it with others. Hit the subscribe or like button so you can be notified of each weekly episode. Also, let me know how I'm doing, especially if there's more you'd like to know that perhaps we didn't get time to touch on today or in past episodes. And if you're after resources to help you out on this journey or more about the energy healing work I do, hit the Healing to Be You link. That's the word healing, 2, letter B, letter U.com. So until next time, be kind to you and thank you for joining us on the beautiful side of grief.